Namaste. Hi guys, and welcome to this 20-minute beginner Vinyasa flow, yoga flow video. Today we will be starting with some seated positions, moving into some standing and balancing positions, back to seated, and maybe some supine positions where we're lying down on the mat. It's going to be very easy. We're going to take it slow, getting you used to different positions, getting you used to breathing, opening up the body. And this can be practiced by anyone, beginners all the way to advanced. And you can practice however you want to. If you want to fast forward, you can fast forward a little bit. I'll leave little stamps in the video, so if you just want to do a standing section, you can do the standing, or you just want to do the seated, or maybe just the beginning, the warm-up. I'll leave it up to you. But we can start today with our eyes closed in just a couple of minutes to allow our body and breath to come to a natural rest. Just noticing how we're breathing. Not trying to interfere with the breath, just simply noticing how we breathe. And as our breath naturally begins to slow down, we want to turn our awareness inwards, noticing how we feel today. Are there any aches and pains in the body? Or do we actually feel okay? From here we can open our eyes, interlocking our fingers, bringing our hands up into the sky, taking a deep breath in, expanding the rib cage. And exhale out. We'll bring our right hand onto the mat, leaning towards the right side, and lean towards the left side. Coming back to center, we'll bring the right hand onto the left knee, left hand behind the back, gently twisting, looking over our left shoulder. Not trying to twist too much, just easing the body into today's yoga practice. Coming back to center, twisting the other way. Right hand behind us, left hand on the right knee, twisting, looking over the right shoulder. Coming back to center. From here we'll bring both the soles of the feet together, hands around the toes or the ankles. We can just gently push the knees down, let them naturally bounce back up. This is called our butterfly position, or as we're flapping our wings, so to say, you could call it our flying butterfly. From here we can straighten the legs out in front of us, toes pointed towards the ceiling, and we don't have to have the legs completely flat on the ground. You can have a little bend in the knees, that's okay. We'll inhale, bringing the hands up, exhale, folding down, bringing the hands either onto the toes or the shins or the knees, just leaning forward slightly. We can use our hands to gently pull us down. You can also have the hands on the mat if you prefer, but I always think it's a good idea to put it at some point on the body so you can get a good idea of when your flexibility is improving. Here it's not about stretching the hamstrings, it's more about that spinal flexion, how much your spine can bend and move. From here we can slowly come up, hands behind us for support, And we can just rotate the ankles round, making big circles with the ankles. Just getting the full range of motion there in our ankles. And we can go the other way, circling the other direction with the ankles. Coming back to center. We'll bring our legs around, coming into a tabletop position on our hands and knees. Shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees, and a few repetitions of cat-cow. So our cow, we arch the spine, bring the chin up. So we arch the spine one way. And our cat, so we arch the spine the other way. We can have the head down here. So we inhale into our cow position. Chin comes up. And exhale into our cat. And usually you'd have your head down here, but I'm keeping my head slightly up because I've got a microphone on. But one time I'll show you the proper cat. So we come down, slowly moving the vertebrae. With the head coming down. And we just gently go back and forth here, bringing some nice gentle movement into the spine. We can come back to a neutral spine here. We'll tuck our toes, lift our knees off the ground, and bring our pelvis nice and high into our first downward facing dog. Again here I have my chin up because I don't want to be talking too loud into the microphone, but you want to be looking down at your knees in this position. And just a couple of breaths. Here you can either use downward dog as a stretch, but generally just the positions in yoga are more just about moving your body. You're not really trying to stretch or push more weight. We're simply just holding our body in different positions, keeping ourselves as relaxed as possible. But if you like, you can walk one heel to the mat and the other, and you can stretch out your calves and the backs of your legs. From here, we'll step both feet to the front of the mat. We'll have our hands on our shins, feet together, chin up. This is called our half forward fold. And on our next exhale, we'll fully forward fold, bending the back. Hands come on the back of the legs, head comes down, looking at the knees. Slowly we can come up, nice and slowly, keeping a slight bend in the legs when you do. Hands come up into the sky, looking up at the sky or the ceiling, wherever you're practicing today. And we can bring the palms together, down to the heart center. Bringing the right sole of the foot on the inside of the left leg. Holding here in our tree pose. If you struggle with your balance, you can always bring the foot lower down. And if you really struggle with the balance, we just want to get used to the body holding the weight on one leg. So you can use something to balance. Just lift one leg off the ground. When it's too much, place it back on again. When you're ready, lifting it off. From here, we'll step our right foot to the back of the mat. We come into our warrior one. So we want our hips still facing the front of the mat, a bend in that front knee, interlock the fingers, index and middle out, lifting them up above the head. And we're looking up at our thumbs here. And we're breathing, taking the breath in, up through the ground, breathing out the top of the fingertips. From here, we can turn out our back foot so the toes are pointing to the long side of the mat. Arms come down in line with the shoulders. This is our warrior two. So the hips, they're not facing the front of the mat anymore. They're facing the long side of the mat. Arms in line with the shoulders. looking at our front hand, our left hand. And same thing again, breathing up through the ground, through the legs, through the body, and out through the fingertips. On our exhale, breathing out through the fingertips. From here, bring our front forearm, our left forearm, onto our front thigh. The back hand reaches over. If you find you're sort of here, you might be pushing too far back. It might help to go down with the arm and up like that. We want the hand to be reaching as far away from the right foot as possible, and our eyes want to be looking at that right hand. We'll come back up to our warrior two. And we'll bring this back hand behind the back. Front hand reaches towards the back of the hall. Coming back to warrior two. Straightening the front leg, hands onto the hips, turning that front foot parallel with the back foot. So both the feet are pointing towards the long side of the mat, hands on the hips. We inhale, chin comes up, and exhale, bending at the hips, folding forwards. And we can bring our hands onto the mat above our head. Let our head hang down. We want to be breathing through our nose at all times. Unless, of course, you have a blocked nose, then just any breathing at all is good. Bringing our hands onto our hips, slowly bending the knees and slowly bringing our body up. Standing upright. We'll step both feet to the front of the mat, and we'll do the same on the other side. Left sole of the foot on the inside of the right leg, palms together at the heart center. Balancing here, calming the mind. And we can step the left leg to the back of the mat, coming into our warrior one. Bend in that front leg, interlocking the fingers, index and middle out, lifting them up. Want that back foot on the ground at a 45-degree angle. It's not quite possible to have the heel on the ground and the foot facing forwards. So we turn it out slightly, but we want our hips facing the short side of the mat, facing towards the front of the mat. Turning out that back foot so the toes are pointing the long side of the mat now. Arms come down in line with the shoulders into our warrior two. Looking towards our front hand, our right hand. Front forearm rests on the front thigh. Back hand reaches over to our side angle. Coming back to warrior two. Back hand comes behind the back. Front hand reaches towards the back of the hall. Coming back to warrior two. Hands on the hips, straightening that front leg, turning the front foot parallel with the back foot. We'll inhale, chin comes up, and exhale, bending at the hips, folding down. Hands on the mat above the head. Hands back on the hips, slowly bringing ourselves up. Bending the knees first and lifting our body up. Stepping both feet to the front of the mat. And from here we'll come into our seated section. So we'll come into a seated position on the mat, however you like, with both of our legs straight. We'll inhale, bringing the hands up, and exhale, folding forwards. Hands again on the toes, or the shins, or the knees. And in our forward fold, we either have two options, keeping the chin up and looking at the toes, or we can have the head hanging down, looking at our knees. Whichever you want, whichever you prefer at the moment. When you keep the chin up, it's usually a bit more of an active fold. But sometimes it is nice to just elongate the back of the neck. I personally don't like to do it because of phones and computers. We're usually already looking down, well, phones especially. Slowly we can come up. Bringing the right sole of the foot on the inside of the left leg. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, fold down. Slowly coming up and changing sides. Straightening the right leg, left sole of the foot on the inside of the right leg. On your inhale, the hands come up, and exhale, folding down. So with the foot as well, if you usually have the foot pointed up, you're going to feel a little more tightness on the back of the leg. But if you hold onto the heel or on another part and you point the foot away, this will release that tightness. So it's up to you how you want to practice. I always like to make it tighter, fold forwards, and then when I push it away, it's much easier, much more comfortable. But both are good. Both are good when you first start with, and it's just about experimenting and finding out what works for you. Slowly coming up. We'll come to a cross-leg position. Inhale, bringing the hands up. Exhale, folding down. We can bring the hands onto the mat, then slowly walk them forwards. Slowly coming up. Straightening both of our legs. From here we'll come to a back twist. So we're going to bend the left leg, left sole of the foot on the outside of the right leg, left hand behind us, right arm on the outside of the left leg, and we're twisting, looking over our left shoulder. In these twists, it's very easy to over twist. So a good way to find out how much you're twisting is by looking at your breath. Okay, you want to be able to have full breaths. You don't want shallow breathing when you're twisting. So if you are twisting too far, the breaths might be a little too shallow. All you can do is take a deep inhale and exhale. And as you do, really push the breath out, all the way out. And this will naturally push you in a more comfortable and more active position. So you're not just randomly twisting, you're sort of, the muscles are engaged, the body is nicely aligned. And if you do this 3 to 5 breaths or so, deep inhales and exhales in this breath, you just push out. It doesn't have to be a sharp push, just a constant all the way out. 3 to 5 times. This is how we correct ourselves. We can unravel from this twist and change sides. Bending the right leg, right foot on the outside of the left knee, left arm on the outside of the right knee, looking over the right shoulder. And coming back to center, straightening both legs. We're going to lie down on the mat into our supine section. Soles of the feet on the mat, knees raised, hands down by our hips, and we're just going to lift the hips off the ground, engaging both of the glutes. Slowly bringing the hips back down onto the mat. From here, hugging both the knees in towards the body. And if you like, you can either hold this static pose or you can gently roll side to side, massaging the back a little bit. Just bringing some movement into the asana, into the pose, the posture, however you prefer to call it. We can come back to a static pose. We're going to let go of only the left leg, placing the left leg flat onto the mat, hugging in only the right knee. From here, we can place our right hand flat onto the floor, to the right side of us, and with our left hand, we bring that knee over towards the left side. Again, just gently twisting the back. And we want to be looking over at our right hand. So we're looking the opposite direction of our knee. Slowly coming back to center, placing the right leg flat onto the ground, hugging the left knee in towards the chest. Placing the left hand on the floor, bringing the left knee over towards the right side, and looking over at our left hand. Coming back to center, placing our left leg flat onto the mat. Both hands down by our hips, palms facing up towards the ceiling. And we can relax here in our final position, called Savasana, or our corpse pose. Here you can totally relax. No need to hold the body in a specific position. And just for 1 or 2 minutes, breathing here, noticing how we feel. Noticing how our body feels. Our feet, calves, quads and hamstrings. How our core feels. Our chest all the way up into our head. Just doing a full body scan for another minute or so. Slowly we can roll over onto our side in your own time, and then bringing ourselves up into a seated position. Any comfortable seated position. So it's important to remind yourself why you practice yoga. Some practice for the strength, others for the flexibility or the mobility. For me, and I think it's always an important part of it, is the meditation. If you're particularly irritable on a certain day, 20-minute yoga practice at the end in your Savasana or even a seated meditation, just sitting 2-3 minutes, as long as you want really, until you start to get irritated or bored or itchy. A yoga practice will be able to enhance your meditation time. So say you're one who meditates and after a minute you get bored or you just want to move, something like this, you're just irritated. Hopefully after a 20-minute yoga practice, that 1 minute turns to 2 minutes, at least. More like 3 or 4. And over the weeks and months and years, soon 40 minutes, 1 hour, you can sit, no problem. Just like your first 30 seconds when you're meditating, it's just nice. It's nice and to enjoy the peace and quiet. There's no worries. So this is what we practice. This is why we practice. This is why I practice. So I hope you guys enjoyed it today. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you are in the Suffolk area, give me a comment. I do teach all around Suffolk and maybe I can teach you too. So we put our palms together. Gently we bow down. Namaste. Thank you.